Hi, I'm James and welcome to another review. Now recently Twilight 2000 has had the new edition come out, as we all know, but now Free League have actually opened it up for people to produce their own content and sell it on Drive-Thru RPG. So what I've done, I've actually picked up a couple of the bits and pieces. This is the first of them. The first one I'm going to look at is this Black Sheep War Journal. Okay, it's written by Dennis Higgins. So Dennis, if you're out there, congratulations, you're the first person I'm reviewing on the new supplements. And this is a quarterly zine looking at 4th edition. He says straight off that later editions are going to have hopefully better professional art and things like that, using the money from this first edition to fund it. Hey, I can live with that. That's not bad. Dennis, if you actually are reading this, please let me know. I'm quite happy to contribute photos and things like that. I do actually run my own photography business in my spare time and do a lot of military photography, so you know I can help with that. So what's it going to contain then? Frago, I'm assuming that's the frag order. I'm not an expert on US terminology. It looks at sort of military culture. Okay, that makes sense. Ball caps and beards, which is background on Special Operations Forces. Dennis is a US Army veteran who has been attached to Special Forces in an intelligence capacity. So we've got that. You've then got MOS training, looking at how to make characters more targeted without adding lots of crunchiness. I thought that's a nice concept. And troops in contact, and this is to me is probably the nitty gritty of it. It's an encounter and character that you can actually insert into the game. So what do I make of this then? Well, the first thing we've got is an article on warrant officers. Now, I knew that there were differences between what I regard as a warrant officer and what Americans regard as warrant officer. In the UK, a warrant officer is a sergeant major, class 1 or 2. Bit of trivia, there was a sergeant major class 3 at the start of the Second World War. That was quickly abandoned. And they're called a warrant officer because, unlike an officer who gets a scroll signed by the Queen, which is their commission, a warrant officer gets a warrant from the Prime Minister. So there is a subtle difference. In America, warrant officers are different to sergeant majors. A warrant officer is a specialist, where basically they're given effectively officer privileges without being an officer. Most common one it picks up are the pilots in the aviation units in the Army. There's 5 classes of them. It just talks about the sort of where you would find them and what they do, and a few notes about the different services. For example, the US Air Force hasn't actually created any warrant officers since, and I've lost track of what date that was, quite a way back, 1959, and their last one retired in 1992. So yeah, you've got a little bit there. It's only a page long, but it's a nice little bit of background. So ball caps and beards, Special Operations Forces. It concentrates on the American Special Operation Forces, which is fair enough. That's what the author knows about. Looks at a few bits and pieces. Selection and training. Talks about that. Looks at the mission types that they would carry out. That's actually quite an interesting little read in itself. And then goes into the Army Special Forces. Looks at what units would deploy. Something I thought that was very useful was the organisation, because I've seen plenty of ODA, which is Operational Detachment Alpha. I've seen lots of them, but I didn't know how they were actually assigned. So that was actually quite interesting, how they make up the code numbers. That was quite useful. Gives a breakdown of it. Talks about in Twilight 2000 what will they look like? Will they look the same? And obviously they won't. It builds on the Special Forces character in the player's manual. Expands it slightly by splitting down the different specialities, giving a little breakdown for that. So you've got for example, the 18 Delta is the medic, talks about what rank they would be. The skills that they would get would be ranged combat and medical aid, and the speciality of combat medic. So it actually gives you a quick little bit of chrome, I suppose, if you're generating a special operations force. I think playing as a whole special operations unit, and obviously there was the one in the very first scenario that was published, the Free City of Krakow. They are a really viable group for PCs. I think that's a nice idea, and it gives you the equipment that they would be issued with. I might be inclined to just make a little bit of modification to some of those to represent Twilight 2000 with less kit being available, but hey, I like this. And it talks about having the player character team, and it does have a little touch there about why would a special operations character appear in an ordinary unit. So well, that was quite nice. So you're talking there, what, just over 3 pages, and some nice little background in there, and I think particularly useful because a lot of players will want to play special operations characters, and it gives that background. So the MOS training is looking at, particularly for characters assigned to an infantry division, a motorised division, and it breaks down all the different specialities and how best to model them. It doesn't actually give any extra rules or anything like that. It basically just says, I'll pick one as an example. Tanker. Despite its name, the speciality doesn't require the character to be a tank crewman. In a mechanised infantry unit, tracked vehicles abound. Mechanised infantry, self-propelled artillery, and even non-combat arms character could be expected to pilot a tracked vehicle. So it's giving you that bit of an understanding of your character. Quite useful if you're helping to generate a character. I like the touch it picks up the combat service support as well, although it does admit that the Adjutant General, Finance, and the JAG, which I think is Judge Advocate General, that they are quite hard to do in Twilight 2000, and there's just over 2 pages for that, which I thought was quite nice. It does pick up a couple of nice bits with it. I like just remember the transportation one. It suggests using the blue collar driver career as an option. So I like the way he's not adding rules. What he's doing is how you can model better. So I like that touch. And then troops in contact. This to me was probably the main part of this, and it comes to just over 3 pages, and it gives an example of ODA 146. Gives you a number of characters. You've got, let's have a look, get straight to, yeah, you've got 4 surviving characters from the ODA, plus a doctor from the Lithuanian army they've picked up. Gives you them in detail, and gives details of the group that they're using. So that is a straight drop into a campaign. I do like it. I found it nice and simple. I like the fact he's made them from the 11th Special Forces group. So the characters are actually reservists. They're National Guard. And that's quite a nice little touch. It does give 1 or 2 suggestions as to what you can do with them, and just like the information in the original rules, it's actually given you both Polish and Swedish information. So I paid, what, I think it was $1.99 or something like that for this. I'd encourage you to pick it up. You've got a nice little encounter group there, and I'd like to encourage Dennis. I think this is really good. I would like to see him do more. I'd like more in there. I think we all would. But for some of the first material to come out for Twilight 2000, it's a fantastic start. If everybody is contributing like this, it's going to be really good. Hope that's been useful, and I'll see you soon for another review.